Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bari'il khalaiqi ajma'een. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المجيد وفرقانه الحميد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. Dear brothers and sisters in Iman, first of all, I advise myself for taqwa, parhezgari and piety. And then I advise all of you for the same. This is first Friday after Ashura. The last Friday was the day of Ashura, and I'm sure you have heard very eloquent speeches from both of our respected ulama, and it was a very special day of Ashura. On one hand we had the day of Ashura, and on the other hand it was a Friday. Today, since it's a second Friday in the month of Muharram, actually the third one, and the first Friday after Ashura, I would like to initiate a discussion which we will continue for some weeks, and that is our understanding of this tragedy of Karbala and our analysis on what had happened in the 61st year of Hijrah in the land of Karbala. It's very important to see everything in the proper vision 2020 and to be able to understand all the events which took place in this whole thing in the tragedy of Karbala. Let me first state what is being stated in the majority community, in the community of majority of Muslims. When they talk about Ashura, first of all, they don't want to talk about Ashura. The state policy has been always to just not talk about it, just black out. They will never, even at the day of Ashura, they will not talk about the tragedy of Karbala. Rather, they will talk about the fasting of Ashura. Ashura is a great day to fast and to do some additional worship, and that's it. They are not going to bother to talk about Ashura. And it has again reasons, meaning the tragedy of Karbala is the most severe and the most devastating tragedy which took place in the history of Islam. In the history of Islam, nothing has happened like Ashura. And they are not going to talk about it. Because if they talk about it, then it is not in their benefit or it is not in their favor. They get exposed, they get questioned, they get criticized, and it doesn't go well with their general narrative which they have of their history or their faith or the Muslim community or Muslim Ummah or whatever. So the best thing is, yes, something has happened, we are ashamed of it, it's not something good, but don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. Just bury it under rug. That has been the policy of the Muslim state from the time of this Yazid and later on Banu Umayyah and even Banu Abbas, that who were champion of Ashura and champion of Imam Hussain and all that what had happened until they were able to defeat Banu Umayyah and take them out. But after Banu Umayyah were gone, Banu Abbas also adopted the same policy. And Banu Abbas also did the same thing which Banu Umayyah were doing for their own motives, their own reasons. So, first, they are never going to talk about Ashura. All of us, we had incidents. Our children went to the Muslim schools or so-called Islamic schools. And these schools were the Sunni schools. And we had hard time to deal with this issue that our children are going at the day of Ashura in school, and in school they are going to talk about everything, but even at the day of Ashura, they are not going to talk about Ashura. Only fasting. Some of you may have this experience that you ended up going in their Friday prayer. If when you were away from your own community, you were traveling. I have heard from people that they ended up going in the Friday prayer in a Sunni mosque during the first 10 days of Muharram, and they were expecting that this Imam will have at least something to say about this Karbala and this tragedy of Karbala. The khutbah was all about the fasting of Ashura, the fada'il of fasting of Ashura, and everything else, but nothing about Karbala, nothing about Imam Hussain. So, this is something all of us we have experienced, all of us we know. They totally black out. The second thing, if you talk, if you bring them in some discussion like in TV shows, some forums, you bring them and you talk about the Ashura. Normally, their narrative is that this was an isolated event. When they cannot deny it, they will say it was an isolated event. Everything was just fine, everything was so good, people were so much respectful of the Ahlul Bayt. Ahlul Bayt were the apples of eyes of the Ummah. Everybody was so much kind and respectful to Ahlul Bayt. Ahlul Bayt were being fully revered and honored. And everything was just fine. Just all of a sudden somebody came in and he just did it. He was reckless. He was not trained well, or he was not briefed well, and he made some wrong decisions, and it's only, the blame is only on Yazid. Otherwise, before Yazid, everything was just fine. And after Yazid also, again, everything became fine. This is, the only thing is only Yazid. Even if you have heard this young man, Yasir Qadi, who is very popular in Sunni media on social media, he has been talking about it from some time, where to put the blame. And sometime they will go that far that they will not put the blame on Yazid, rather they will put blame only on Ibn Ziyad. They say there was no fax service, there was no email service, there was no what you call this Twitter, no telephone. So Yazid was sitting in Syria, he didn't know what was happening here. So all this was done by the Ibn Ziyad. Ibn Ziyad is the one who did it, Yazid didn't do it. So you don't put blame on Yazid. La hawla wala quwwata illa billah. So these are the different ways that how they will say everything was fine so far for 50 years, and then all of a sudden, whether it was Yazid or it was Ibn Ziyad or somebody or both of them or one of them, they did it, and now we should not just talk about it, we should bury it in the sand, we should kind of black out. It's a shameful story. It exposes some leaders in the Muslim community. It divides the community. I don't know how it divides the community. If people claim that they are on side of Hussein and they love Hussein and they respect Hussein, then where is the divide? Then there is no divide. So, very quickly, I will take a few Friday khutbahs and try to go through this whole thing and explain. Our narrative is contrary to that, and we believe that a tragedy like the tragedy of Karbala was not an accident. It was not an isolated incident. All of you know that if someone is held very high and esteemed in society and everybody respects him and has great influence in the community and society, even the most powerful government would not dare to mess with that person, even when they want to do that. But they know this person is highly respected in society, in the country, and people love him, people are going to die for him, people love him so much, and he has so much respect in the society that even if government wants to go after him, government cannot do that. Because governments have intelligence, they have agencies, they have resources, they read the minds of people. Governments are very shrewd and they calculate everything, and they know that if we do this, what is going to be the reaction? Can we handle that? How people are going to take it, how people are going to react to it. Governments are governments. Whether it was Yazid, whether it was Ibn Ziyad. Ibn Ziyad, his father was also governor. So this man is not someone who came from jungle, all of a sudden he was a shepherd and now he is a governor. No, he was raised in a governor house. So he is a politician. Ibn Ziyad is a professional politician. He is son of a past governor. So he knows the politics. He knows how to look at things and how to calculate and how to evaluate. Yazid himself is also someone who is born at the house of first a governor and then someone who was now so-called Khalifa for last almost 20 years. So they are the people that they know what is happening, and if they will do this, what is going to be the reaction. So we believe that actually the governments from the first government of Muslims after Prophet, from the first one, so-called this Caliph, the first ruler, and then going all the way until this Muawiyah, every government has done their share to weaken the standing of Ahlul Bayt, to bring them down, to disrespect them, and to take the masses away and out from their influence, and to kind of minimize the influence of Ahlul Bayt, and to minimize the role of Ahlul Bayt in the society. And it has been done from the day first. This Saqifa and Karbala. Saqifa is cause and Karbala is the effect. It is illat and ma'lul. So Karbala was the cause, the effect, but the cause, the first cause of Karbala was Saqifa. And after the Saqifa, we see that these people who came in control, and this group of Muhajireen, all old friends and buddies, they made sure that they are going to undermine Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, Sayyida Fatima Zahra Salamullah alayha, and Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain. Now, sometime we need to analyze the riwayat and all the narrations. Today I'm just setting the stage and I'm just initiating this. I will get into it with historical references, inshallah, from next khutbah. That how systemically they went after Imam Ali, after Janabi Sayyida, after Janabi Hassanain. In the time of the first one, then in the second one, then in the third one, and then we see what happened during the time of Muawiyah. So in 50 years, they have been kind of minimizing the respect, the role of Ahlul Bayt in the Muslim society. Most of the Muslims in the time when Prophet passed away from this dunya, those were new Muslims. Most of them were new Muslims. If you just go and check the consensus, at the 10th year of Hijrah, when Prophet died, majority of Muslims were new Muslims. They had converted after the victory of Makkah. And historians know, we know that most of these people, they didn't convert to Islam because Islam was a true religion. They didn't convert that because Islam was a true religion. They converted because everybody is getting Muslim, so let me also become Muslim. They followed the trend. They couldn't resist anymore. They had no true faith. Read Surah Tawbah, read Surah Al-Anfal, and you will see that God is talking to them. God is talking to the Prophet and revealing that who these people are. And there were reasons that Allah and His Apostle accepted them, hoping that they will eventually get better Muslims and proper Muslims over the time. But they were not the true Muslims. Majority of them, they just came in. So these people, and then particularly if you look at their past, during the wars of Badr and Uhud and Khandaq, in all those wars, all of them were defeated and killed, or their relatives were all humiliated and killed by the father of Hussein, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. So these people, these are locals. And all of them, they see their blood on the hand of Ali. All of them, they see their blood on the hand of Ali, or on the hand of Hamza, or on the hands of Jafar-e-Tayyar. All of them were humiliated first by Abu Talib. So people, they remember. They had hatred against Hazrat Abu Talib. They had hatred against Hazrat Hamza. They had hatred against Hazrat Jafar-e-Tayyar. They had hatred against Ali ibn Abi Talib. Many of them, and then later on, so that is the background. And then the new people who came and who took over, and they came in the government, they were very much insecure. And their whole agenda was that we have to make sure that bring Ali down as much as possible. Bring Fatima as down as much possible. Bring Hassan and Hussein as down as possible. So this was a kind of this incident of Ashura is not an incident like what we call isolated event. It was not something that which happened without any previous causes. It is meaning whatever had happened, if Ashura wouldn't happen later, that would be surprise. But Ashura is not surprise for us. We were not surprised to see what has happened in the Ashura. If it wouldn't happen, that would be surprise. So it's a logical conclusion of the events of last 50 years, and the blame is not only on Ibn Ziyad or Yazid, the blame is on Muawiyah. And if blame is on Muawiyah, then blame is on the one that who appointed Muawiyah as governor of Syria and kept him there for that long time. And the blame is on someone that who appointed that caliph who appointed Muawiyah as governor. And this is why we have this azadari. Azadari is to understand this nature of this whole thing. What happened, how it happened, why it happened, and then what are the conclusions. We need to be very clear on that. And inshallah we will continue talking about that in coming khutbas. I just started it with mentioning their narrative and our narrative briefly. From next time inshallah we'll get more into the discussion. Recite a salawat. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. اللهم صل على محمد صل على محمد آل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد آل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب وهو الغفور الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي بن أبي طالب. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى سيدة نساء العالمين فاطمة الزهراء. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. वअला अली इब्न अल-हुसैन व मुहम्मद इब्न अली व जाफ़र इब्न मुहम्मद व मूसा इब्न जाफ़र व अली इब्न मूसा व मुहम्मद इब्न अली व अली इब्न मुहम्मद वल हसन इब्न अली। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मौलाना साहिबिल अस्र वज़्ज़मान सल्लि अला मुहम्मद व अला आबाइहिल किराम मत्तसलल लयाली वल अय्याम। अम्मा बअदु फ़क़द क़ाल अल्लाहु तबारक व तआला तूबू इलल्लाहि तौबतन नसूहा असा रब्बुकुम अन युकफ्फिर अन सय्यिआतिकुम व युदखिलकुम जन्नातिन तजरी मिन तहतिहल अनहार। वक़ाल अल्लाहु तबारक व तआला अयज़न इन्नल्लाह यअमुरु बिल अदलि वल इहसान व ईताइ ज़िल क़ुरबा व यन्हा अनिल फ़हशाइ वल मुनकरि वल बग़ि यइज़ुकुम लअल्लकुम तज़क्करून।